Okay, here's a cutaway of the cheeseburger potato. I'm gonna try my bite with ketchup. That one has bacon. Wait, where's that other fork coming from? You said you didn't want ketchup. And you said you wanted that bowl when I told you probably needed a plate.
Well, you know I always make bad decisions, so. What do you think?
It tastes like a cheeseburger and a potato.
Yep.
I don't care what anybody says. Ketchup is a must. The potato is super tender, thanks to the boiling.
By the way, the oven's at 350.
Okay, thanks. Can you turn it off? I normally never eat potato with the skin on, but the skin, having put that butter,
Told you.
really makes it tender and it doesn't give it that leathery consistency. All right, well, this was a hit. Look at all the layers. The meat, the bacon, all the cheeses. It wasn't too salty. And then where'd that fork come from? All right, well, make this. Obviously, it wasn't popular.
They're getting a cheeseburger potato.
Cheeseburger potato. Fun. Okay, another fun recipe. We're gonna do cheeseburger, bacon cheeseburger, stuffed potatoes. So the first thing I did was just scrub the potatoes. I put them in a pot big enough to hold these 3 big potatoes, covered them with water. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of salt, and I'm gonna let them cook for probably 50 minutes to an hour. I'll check them after about 40 minutes, 40 minutes, but I'm sure they're really big. I don't want them to burst. I just want them to gently cook through so that we can split them and get on with the recipe. I do want to salt them, however, and make sure that I start getting some of that season into them. Adding the salt. Okay, just using my knife and just making sure to kind of in a sawing motion cut around the potato. Just going to take this off. And then just move it to the side. I'm going to put get a spoon, and I'm going to kind of break this up with maybe a little fork or a little spoon, and I'm going to put some butter in it and a little tiny bit of salt. And then I'm going to take the tops of these and then I'm going to add them to our cheeseburger mix. But here it is. So far, so good. Okay, I put about a teaspoon of butter in each of the potato cups. And here's some of the more butter that I put in the one that I scooped out, and I still have these pieces of potato. I don't know if I said I added salt, but it is salted butter and I added salt. I'm also going to put a little tiny bit of onion powder. So we're gonna start building the cheeseburger flavor, even from the very beginning. And tiny little bit of black pepper. You could add white pepper. Okay, good. Okay, the next step was I added some extra sharp cheddar cheese. You can add whatever kind of cheese you like on your cheeseburger. And I kind of worked some of it in with my knife, kind of getting into the potato. Looking pretty. It's ready to go right now, isn't it? Okay, to 1 cup diced red and white onions, I added 1 teaspoon of bacon grease because we're gonna put bacon in our stuffed cheeseburger potatoes. Into our onions went 1 pound of ground beef, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And now we start to brown this a little bit. Sprinkle in 1/8 of a teaspoon or however much of your favorite seasoning. I'm just using Morton Seasonal. You could just use salt. Keep browning. Okay, to mimic the taste of grilled meat, I'm putting a few drops of hickory liquid smoke. Not a lot. You don't want it to overwhelm it. I've turned off the heat. I've added a little bit more salt, and I'm going to wait for this to cool down before our next step. All right, the mixture is cooled, and I got those tops of the potatoes, and I have blended them in to give the beef part some body so it's not just ground up and falling apart. At this point, you can adjust the seasoning salt, add Laurie's, or add some more black pepper. I'm gonna add a little bit of Morton salt seasonal, and I'm gonna add some more black pepper and possibly a little shake of garlic powder. Okay, after you've added your additional seasonings, now it's time to put some of this ground beef into our potato boats. Okay, that's what it's looking like so far. If you wanted to add something else, like let's just say you wanted to add some sauteed peppers or something, go for it. I'm not gonna do that. This recipe makes 4 huge potatoes. I'm just reserving the ingredients for 1 because I'm actually working on another recipe. But this could easily, depending on the size of your potatoes, make 4 or 5 really big potatoes. Okay, our next step is to make a cheese sauce. So in a small pot, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of flour. Whisk. And then we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of Velveeta cheese. Not 3 tablespoons, 3 ounces of Velveeta cheese. I'm gonna put it back to heat, and then we're gonna put a little bit of milk. Okay, that was exactly 1/2 cup of milk. You could also add stock if you wanted to make this is more of a bechamel style cheese sauce. I'm adding a little bit more, you could add stock if you wanted to do more of a velouté or a stock-based sauce. And I added some more of my cheese, my extra sharp cheddar, and you can also add any other cheese, provolone, or whatever kind of cheese that you would put on your burger. All right, we're gonna reserve the cheese sauce for now, and I'm just gonna get a couple of toppings ready for when we put this together. Because I'm gonna be having our potatoes later, I just put a little bit of plastic right over my cheese sauce, right on the surface of it, so that it doesn't get a skin. If you're serving it right away, then you can skip that step, but it can form a skin pretty quickly, so just keep an eye on that. In a small little cast iron pan, I have 1 teaspoon of butter, avocado oil, and some sliced peppers. I threw a couple of slices of jalapenos, and we're gonna caramelize these onions. So earlier this week, I prepped some nice fatty, thick bacon, and I just chopped that up. This is all pre-cooked bacon that is just cold from the refrigerator. I chopped it up, and just with my hand, I loaded it right up. So you just get it and press it on. Like I said, this is gonna be a really deluxe, fun cheeseburger baked potato. And that's it. We're just gonna leave that like that. I have cut some strips of provolone and Swiss cheese that I'm also gonna put on there, but we'll get to that in a minute. For right now, I just wanted to show you the chopped bacon, or this would be a good time to add any of those little fun touches that you might add to your own cheeseburger. I'm still dealing with the caramelized onion that I have going. I just want to attend to that. I'm leaving one without bacon. My son doesn't like bacon, so I'm gonna leave one without it for him. The onions are done caramelizing them for my purpose. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to pull out the caramelized onions, or let's see if I could do this. Or maybe I will just pour a little of this oil in here, because I'm gonna use this delicious oil, buttery, wonderful, oniony oil to baste our potato skin. Let's see if I can push this in. Take your time. Give it the old shake out. Okay, done. I'll set this aside, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna baste the potato skins. Okay, since my son doesn't want to fool around with bacon, I'm gonna do this one first. So just generously coating all the dry parts. And that way, as it heats up, it'll get all flavorful and crispy and delicious. Okay, let me turn it around to make sure all of it is well coated. Okay, and it looks like it is. And then nothing wrong with giving it a little topping off. Makes it look pretty too, and that'll just help. Okay, the next one, same thing. Take your time with it. So I'm gonna take each one and do it very carefully. And then I'm gonna wash my hands because I got a little bit of oil on them. Okay, I've got my potatoes now in these convenient little oven-proof ramekins. If you don't have one, just create a boat-like structure. Just forming it with aluminum foil is fine, or you can just set it right on parchment. I've added the cheese now. I'm gonna be pouring the cheese sauce over it. I'm just adding this for a little extra moisture and crispy cheesiness. So just like that, kind of get the edges, it'll melt over. It's going into a preheated 350-degree oven. I'm thinking it's gonna be about 25 minutes, but I'm gonna check it after every 10, just to make sure that I don't need to tent it or it's, you know, not getting overly browned. The last one that doesn't have the bacon, I'm gonna save for my son when he comes home, and I'll bake his for him fresh. So here we go. Also, at the 10-minute point, I'm going to put the cheese sauce back on to heat. All right, normally you're not part of the experience. These are your cheeseburger.
Oh, hell yeah. Put some cheese on it.
Okay, this thing got really thick. Okay, I'm gonna put this back on. How much cheese do you want?
You're asking me? Come on. A healthy amount for sure. Ooh.
Oops, a little spill. I'm gonna put this back in the oven, so I'm gonna leave a little of that bacon exposed.
I love cheese sauce.
Okay. Maybe this side will be a little more lucky. Right.
What types of cheeses are on it?
Swiss provolone and a good old cheesy Velveeta with a little sharp, extra sharp cheddar. Okay. Can you hold this for me? Okay, and their final touch is just a little fresh, extra sharp cheddar. Okay. All right, and she goes for another 5 minutes. So total cooking time will be about 15 to 17 minutes. You'll decide where it gets there. We can't show him all the magic happens. Here's the caramelized onions before it goes back into the oven. I'm putting that on the bacon part. I have one last little surprise, a little fresh jalapeno. All right, well, here it is. To mimic ketchup, I just put some fresh tomatoes. I asked my hub if he wanted some ketchup. I think a little bit of ketchup would be good on this. I might have some on standby. Well, there it is. It wasn't the fastest recipe, but it wasn't the hardest either. It just was kind of staging. You could get it all set up. I was just doing it, you know, little by little because I was doing other stuff all day. And so it's just kind of a fun thing to have sitting around. If you were having a party, you could put them all, line them all up on a sheet pan together, pop them in the refrigerator, take them out about half an hour before you're going to use them so that they can warm up a little bit, and then pop them into your 350-degree oven. You could even cheese them up ahead of time. And then have fun little condiments on the side, whatever you want. I do wish I would have had some pickle, but we eat the pickles. All right, let's see what he thinks.
Let me get in there.
I think you should go all the way down. It's really loaded.
Let me get in here.
That's the meat part. So think of it as a deconstructed cheeseburger.
That was good.
You want ketchup?
Great.
You want to cut it? Or you're going to just cut it with your fork?
I'm gonna cut it with my fork. I'm gonna dig.
Okay.